Very impactful weather for the state of Texas today, especially the northwestern half of the state, though we all could be dealing with issues at one point or another going into the next 48 hours, plus a major tornado outbreak expected just to our east and north as a very strong area of low pressure moves across the plains. Let's get into it on this Friday edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. Good morning, it's Friday, the 14th of March, 2025. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy-in-Chief David Reimer. We are already starting to see a quick uptick in winds across the state this morning, with blowing dust already observed in the Panhandle, West Texas, Permian Basin. That begins what is going to be a very long day of very strong winds across the northwestern and western half of the state of Texas, blowing dust, legitimately becoming a dust storm later this morning, and extremely dangerous wildfire conditions across the western two-thirds to 75% of Texas. I realize fire isn't as sexy as severe storms, but guess what? Fire weather is severe weather, and for those of you who may have fires impacting your immediate area today, you're going to learn very quickly why we focus so much on the wildfire threat here in the state of Texas, just as we do with severe storms. Let's get into it. The high-res rapid refresh model for today, tonight, into Saturday. First off, we note thunderstorms, all sorts of issues with thunderstorms just east of the state of Texas going into tonight and tomorrow. Same thing in the Midwest. We're going to talk more about that in detail, but a multi-day severe weather and tornado outbreak is expected with all sorts of problems. It's not going to be good for a lot of states across the Midwest down into the Mid-South, but for us in Texas, we're on the dry side of things. We're going to be dealing with the dry line plowing east through Texas, bringing extremely dry air, very strong winds, blowing dust, and extreme wildfire danger due to the fact we're in a drought. Maybe a chance for a shower or storm in far east Texas in the Golden Triangle at some point, either tonight or tomorrow. Chances are not high, though. All right, let's just get into it, because as you can see, besides, well, that precip-wise, minus maybe a few showers Saturday morning. Now, what's interesting about that is we are going to have a really dry air mass in place, North Texas, Northeast Texas, so this shows light showers. I'm not sure we're going to actually see a lot of that even reach the ground, but it may help create some gusty winds. If you end up getting some sprinkles, hey, congratulations, but probably not. Now, let's talk about what is going to be our issue today. This is going to be the wind. This is a map of the wind going through today into this evening. Guess what? West winds across along and west of I-35 by late morning. We're going to have pretty much west winds across the northwestern 75% of Texas this afternoon. Those orange and red colors you see in the Panhandle, West Texas, Northwest Texas, the Big Country, the Permian Basin, even extending at times into North Texas, those are westerly winds up to 60 miles an hour in gusts. Most folks, 50 to 60 miles an hour. We do note the Panhandle, West Texas, and some local terrain enhancements out in Northwest Texas. You might see wind gusts at times up to 80 miles an hour this morning and afternoon. Needless to say, widespread blowing dust. A legitimate dust storm with significantly reduced visibility, very difficult travel conditions. Aviation, don't even bother. That's going to be a thing. Panhandle, West Texas, Permian Basin, parts of Northwest Texas, and the Big Country. As the strong westerly winds continue towards lunchtime, we're expecting an area of dust to be blown east into Northwest Texas, the Big Country, the Concho Valley, eventually into Texoma, North Texas, Central Texas this afternoon and this evening. That dust will likely cause some visibility reductions. You're going to notice it. For some folks, it's going to be more than just a little bit of a visibility reduction. It's going to be a legitimate dust storm where you're going to have visibilities down to a quarter mile. We are expecting winds to calm down after sunset. We'll generally see wind gusts drop below 40 miles an hour for most folks. So it's not going to be like we saw last week where winds kept going after sunset in the 50 to 60 mile an hour range across the northwestern half of the state. But it's going to remain breezy. The other problem with what we're dealing with today is dry air. This is the relative humidity. The blues and greens there, that's high humidity, very moisture-rich air mass. You can see across most of the state this morning, this afternoon, especially as the dry line flies east, we're going to see humidity values below 20 to 10%. In some cases, humidity values close to 5%. The Big Country, North Texas, Northwest Texas, where extremely critical fire weather danger exists. Combined with the strong westerly winds over 50 miles an hour, any fires that get going today are going to fly. So be very mindful of that if we get fires going, there is a high potential they are going to become large and uncontrollable until we see winds calm down this evening, meaning evacuations will be required in all likelihood. And some of these fires, I mean, if we get a fire in, fairly rural area where we've got a lot of grass or brush, that thing could run 20 to 30 miles before it calms down. So it's one of those days, I'm afraid. In terms of fire weather conditions, here you go. Here's the fire danger forecast from the Texas A&M Forest Service. You can see pretty much along and west of I-35 today from the Red River all the way down through central Texas, south central Texas, down towards Laredo. Guess what? Extreme fire danger today, as high as the risk gets. Any fires that get going have a high potential of becoming uncontrollable and requiring a significant augmentation of resources to eventually get knocked down this evening when winds calm down. Keep in mind that relief will be temporary because we're doing extreme fire danger again tomorrow across, well, at this point, the southern two-thirds of the state of Texas. And then on Sunday, we will see some moderating conditions, the northeastern half of the state, with the worst fire danger expected South Texas, the Hill Country, the Edwards Plateau, down to the Rio Grande Plains, the Rio Grande Valley. Keep in mind, fires that get going today, some of those may be fires that keep going for a few days. So there is the potential for a southern Great Plains wildfire outbreak scenario to unfold, where we see multiple large fires simultaneously today. And some of those fires, I mean, honestly, had the potential to run 10,000 to 100,000 plus acres. But of course, it doesn't take a fire that big to cause issues. We could get a 20-acre fire in the middle of a wildland-urban interface in a major city that could end up being a major threat to neighborhoods and buildings and structures and population. So it goes without saying, Don't do anything outdoors today that could even remotely produce a spark that could get anywhere near a grassy area. Lawn mowing, not a good idea. Anything like welding, grinding, anything that could make a spark, not a good idea. It's a long-range American weather model, the global forecast system. This will take us through the weekend, early next week. As you can see here in the state, I'll tell you now, it's going to be quiet. In terms of precip, we're not going to get anything. We're looking bone dry through at least Wednesday. Maybe a bit longer. We'll see. So, fire danger, wind. Now, not as bad as what we're dealing with today, but it'll still be breezy this weekend, early next week. Maybe another wind threat as we get towards Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Now, let's take a look at the severe weather outlooks for today. Now notice, we do have a level 1 risk, maybe an isolated strong to severe storm in far east Texas, the Toledo Bend Reservoir, the Golden Triangle this evening. Really not concerned about it. What we are concerned about is a level 4 out of 5 risk of severe weather from Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, northeastern Arkansas, Tennessee, with a level 3 risk down into Alabama, Mississippi, east into Kentucky, Indiana, eastern Nebraska. We're expecting numerous severe thunderstorms, a severe weather outbreak this afternoon through tonight, well after dark, with the potential of hurricane-force winds, numerous tornadoes, and baseball-sized hail. Not a good scenario. Tomorrow looks even more volatile, especially across parts of the Mid-South. Right now, we have a level 4 out of 5 risk. This may get upgraded to a level 5 out of 5 risk in later updates. Parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, the Florida Panhandle. The potential for a significant outbreak of tornadoes, including long-track violent tornadoes, EF3+, hurricane-force winds, baseball-sized hail. Multiple rounds of storms possible. And again, this may get upgraded. It really does look quite dangerous tomorrow. We note a level 1 and a level 2 risk of severe storms far southeast Texas, east Texas. Again, we're going to be right on the line. I'm not overly worried about it right now. If we see some storms fire up, they'd move into Louisiana pretty quickly. We might see a little bit of hail and wind, but most data suggests we're not going to deal with that. We are going to be very mindful of it, though, and we'll keep an eye on it. And if it shifts west a little, we may have a few severe storms in far east Texas Saturday. Something we'll watch for, but again, it's not really our vibe at the moment. It seems like we're just going to be dealing with dry weather with blowing dust and fires. Could that change? Of course, Mother Nature's going to do what Mother Nature's going to do, but it's not something I'm really too worried about for in Texas right now. Just to our east, well, there's a reason a lot of our team are actually in the process of traveling out towards Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and it's not just for the barbecue. Here's forecast rain totals over the next 5 days. Guess what? Zilch, zero, nada. Maybe a few sprinkles out in the borderland, far west Texas around El Paso, and maybe some minor activity in far east Texas near the Louisiana border. Again, the rest of the state, if we see more than a sprinkle the next 5 days, consider yourself lucky, because it's not looking good for that. Temperatures, we're not going to spend too much time with this. I'll just say today we're looking at highs above 100 degrees. McAllen, Brownsville, Laredo, Corpus Christi, up towards Del Rio. 90s up I-35 into San Antonio towards Houston. Cooler western third of Texas because a lot of your solar radiation, aka the sun, is going to be obscured by a dust storm. Going into tomorrow, you can see about 10 degrees cooler South Texas, majority of the state ranging from the 50s in the Panhandle, West Texas, Davis, Guadalupe Mountains, up into the 60s, 70s, and 80s farther to the east. We're all in the 60s, 70s, and 80s on Sunday. A beautiful day setting up. Monday, warming back up quickly. We're all back up into the upper 70s to upper 80s. And then as we get into Tuesday, same story except 90s make a return to northwest Texas, the big country, the Permian Basin, down to the Big Bend, the Rio Grande Plains, the Edwards Plateau, and South Texas. So, it is Friday, which means it is time to give a super duper shout out to our Doomer members here on the Texas Weather Center. We appreciate all members who help support us here at the Texas Weather Center and help us bring content to you. See, words are difficult. So, any member tier here on the Texas Weather Center, you get access to our members-only Discord server. But, Spinny Doomers, it's time's for you. Let's give a shout-out to Anthony R. Pelosi Jr. Thank you for being a Spinny Doomer here on the Texas Weather Center. Ryan Tucker, thanks for being a Spinny Doomer here on the Texas Weather Center and a sponsor. r/Tornado Chats, thank you kindly for being a Spinny Doomer here on the Texas Weather Center. Love, Live, Laugh, thank you kindly for being a Spinny Doomer here on the Texas Weather Center. Paranoid Pocho, thanks for being a Spinny Doomer here on the Texas Weather Center. Tomas Camachio, thank you for being a Spinny Doomer here on the Texas Weather Center. Jen Kim, thank you kindly for being a Spinny Doomer on the Texas Weather Center. Justin S., thank you kindly for being a Spinny Doomers here on the Texas Weather Center. Wade, thank you kindly for being a Spinny Doomer here on the Texas Weather Center. Tanya McGee, thank you kindly for being a Spinny Doomer here on the Texas Weather Center. J.A., thank you kindly for being a Spinny Doomer here on the Texas Weather Center. S00 Patique, thank you kindly for being a Spinny Doomer here on the Texas Weather Center. Samantha Dolson, thank you kindly for being a Spinny Doomer here on the Texas Weather Center. Nancy Rosenberg, thank you kindly for being a Spinny Doomer here on the Texas Weather Center. Ryan, thank you kindly for being a Spinny Doomer on the Texas Weather Center. And Deanna, thank you kindly for being a Spinny Doomer here on the Texas Weather Center. So again, we're going to be spending a lot of today keeping a very close eye out for new wildfire starts. We're going to do our best to bring you that information as quickly and reliably as we can. We'll also be keeping an eye on storms that are going to be east and north of Texas. Again, we have a lot of our chasers heading out to chase for later today and tomorrow across the Mid-South. So we'll have live streaming storm chase video probably on the Texas Storm Chasers YouTube channel. We're doing some changes we think that are going to help better set that up. We may not be streaming as much out of state on that channel unless it's tornado time. But we'll have pictures and such. And again, we'll do our best to keep you updated on the weather and dust and wind and all that, plus fire info here in the state of Texas as we go through the day and, well, the weekend, unfortunately, as the fire danger looks to persist. You can always get your local weather forecast, interactive weather radar, and more, no matter where you are in the United States, with the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. Just search for Texas Storm Chasers where you download apps for your device. You can also find us on the web, TexasStormChasers.com, for a detailed written blog that accompany these daily Texas Weather Roundup videos here on YouTube. That's it. We'll talk to y'all later. Have a absolutely wonderful Friday. Again, try not to inhale too much of that dust, and please remain aware for any fires in your area that may ignite. We'll keep an eye on things and share information as we hear it. Have a good one. God bless.